We are live 364 days a year.
What are we doing here?
If Dom turns at SummerSlam, I'm shaving my moustache off. I told you, if that happens, it's going. My lip is cold because of a stupid bet that I made with YouTube.
Oh, good.
Wrestle's better than Daniel Bryan. Bryan Daniels. Better than Okada.
How do you not get 50 after Monday Night Raw?
CM Punk is the new World Heavyweight Champion, Jade Cargill is the new Women's Champion, and Cody Rhodes is still the WWE Champion. Good evening from Swansea, South Wales, wrestling fans. I'm your host, Ben Allison, and you are watching Wrestling Republic's daily broadcast, and we are going to be getting into everything from Saturday night's main event. But before we do, let me introduce today's panel, and let's kick things off with Clark Taylor. How are you, Clark?
I'm doing well. It's been a fun weekend, definitely with Saturday night's main event. We had the World Series and everything. Great weekend for sports and wrestling in general. I can't wait to get into it. Happy Sunday, everybody.
That is the only issue with last night's show. Everybody seems to be watching that baseball. I've never known, or heard about, I should say, that many people watching baseball at any given time. I've honestly never heard of it, Clark.
Game 7 and it being the LA Dodgers, it being such a big market, I think is why. Because obviously in a 7-game series to go to the one deciding game, I think that's why it felt so much bigger than a normal even a normal World Series game, right?
Yeah.
It's the Dodgers, and then also the Blue Jays being the only Canadian team. They have a huge fan base, so that was a big factor as well as far as like the viewership, I think.
No, for sure, because honestly, I never hear about it any year, right? And I heard about it so much over this weekend. So much so that there was rumblings that Triple H was actually watching the game last night instead of being at Saturday night's main event, which is certainly an interesting decision. But I was going to say, what about you, Mary? How are you today, Mary?
I'm doing really, really good. I'm just going to take things off on a personal note. Happy 2-year wedding anniversary to my wonderful husband. Thank you. I love you for what you do, making this possible. I am on Wrestling Republic mainly for that man himself. So shout out to my husband, Louie. He's in the comments. Happy anniversary.
Shout out to you guys. Congratulations. We got quite a few comments out of the gate. Firstly, DCX Warlord is stealing Zach Minger's gimmick of giving a national day. DCX Warlord is, though, very mad, just like Clark is about something, and we'll be getting into that something later on. And we've got Adrian Padilla in the comments as well. Shout out. But without further ado, guys, we need to get into the match which kicked off Saturday night's main event. Cody Rhodes versus Drew McIntyre. A match where the title could change hands via count-out or disqualification, leading to many fans theorizing that potentially the title genuinely was going to change hands. But obviously it did not, and still the WWE Champion, Cody Rhodes. Clark, what were your thoughts on this opener? Because as we all know, you're basically Cody Rhodes' biggest hater.
Cheater. He cheated. We know it. This guy is the worst. He has zero integrity, zero moral compass. He's the most entitled guy you've ever seen. Wins the belt, retains the belt, acts like he earned it. We all know he didn't. We all know we saw the DDT on the title belt. Should have been a DQ, should have changed hands right there. Cody cheated. We all know it. We all saw it as usual. I go back to, I said this 2 years ago. He doesn't need to turn heel. He is one. He's been a heel since the day he stepped through the curtain at WrestleMania 38. He's been the biggest heel in the industry. It's an absolute fact. The idea of Cody Rhodes being this big baby face, I'll never understand. Everyone's got it all wrong. He's the worst thing in the industry. He's the worst person in the industry. He's the scum of the earth.
Wow. Tell us how you really feel about that.
Unbelievable.
I know you've been on, like you said, for months and months, for years actually now, this idea that Cody is already a heel. He always has been a heel. But a lot of people over the last few weeks are coming around to the idea that maybe he is turning heel. Something obviously you disagree with. But I'm going to just put this out there real quick. I don't think Cody Rhodes is turning heel. I think all of this is to make us, one, think he might be turning heel before we get the Randy Orton twist, but secondly, because they don't want fans to turn on him. So I think their mentality kind of is that they want Cody Rhodes to not be a perfect, what's the word, white meat, isn't it? They
Yeah,
call
white
it?
meat baby face, you would call it. Yeah, like just
Yeah.
a perfect baby face. I can
I
actually.
don't think they want him to be that. So that's why they're kind of doing a few of these finishes just to make sure fans stay on his side.
What's interesting to me is AEW kind of did the same thing. If you think about it strategically with dyeing the hair in the TNT title rivalry and everything, and like, well, obviously the entrance being through the middle and not like the babyface or the heel tunnel and whatnot.
That's true. Yeah, I forgot all about that.
AEW kind of like tried that strategy and it didn't really work, is the irony, right? But I actually agree with you. It does seem like that's something that the WWE might be employing to try to avoid, like you said, the crowd turning on him too quickly, because like it's sort of a little bit relatable, like, and it also, I think the theory would be here is that in the long run, fans will actually want him not to turn if you tease it, right? That the fans sort of beg for it not to happen. I would be the hope, is my guess, but
I don't know how they get to that point.
Yeah.
I think fans will just rejoice when he turns heel eventually,
Well, and that's
but
where
I don't think it'll be for a long, long time.
Because it's really hard to have like a Cody don't do it moment. That's getting to that place is, I think, the most difficult thing when it comes to booking the whole Cody Rhodes turning heel or not scenario. Is like, that's a really hard moment to manufacture.
But look, the comments are saying it. Cheetah Rhodes, DCX Warlord pointing out that he did it to Kevin and Drew as well. Yep. And that is true, right? Poor Drew McIntyre. I posted a meme to Twitter, but it kind of is true, that there is some conspiracy against Drew McIntyre. There is. He's, in my eyes, you keep saying Cody's a heel. I legitimately think Drew McIntyre is the biggest babyface in all of this, honestly. But Mary, what's your thoughts on it all?
Ben, you stole the words right out of my mouth when it came to how they were probably going to orchestrate this particular heel turn. At first, it looks like it's Cody. He's throwing the heelish jabs. He's doing the sloppy finishes, the cheater finishes, just so we're not completely wondering, is he going to do it? Or is it really just for someone else to do it? Like none other than the biggest heel that I personally ever known, and that's Randall Keith Orton. I miss 2009 Randy. I'm waiting.
And I do think he is going to be back sooner rather than later, to your point. I think this man is going to come back in the next few weeks, maybe even this week on SmackDown, and just destroy Cody Rhodes. RKO out of nowhere, punt kick, all of this. And I do think it's going to go all the way to the Royal Rumble, where they do a big blow-off match between Randy and Cody.
100% agree. And going back to what we were kind of saying earlier with, like, was he kind of already being heel, Cody Rhodes? And even when they decided to not do it with the Cena rivalry in this scenario, it left kind of a lot of people sour, I feel. So to kind of still kind of throw the heelish turn in these particular storylines, like with Kevin Owens and now Drew McIntyre, you know, it's kind of like how we said, we still want to cheer for Cody, but not necessarily be like, oh, you're a bad guy now. No.
Yeah. I honestly reckon he's gonna be, I honestly think 2 or 3 years, maybe even a little bit more than that, right? I think he's right at the end of his career where he finally turns heel Cody, and then eventually he'll go back face for like his retirement few matches, and then that'll be it. I think they're going to hold off for as long as they possibly can, because Triple H wants this guy to be his quarterback. He keeps saying it. He wants him to be the John Cena. And I don't think, well, not even I don't think, they don't have anybody else to put in that position. And you always need somebody in that position.
I mean, their top guy is out for 6 months. So they kind of have to orchestrate someone else to kind of do it. But we'll talk about that in the later segment.
Absolutely. I mean, DCX Warlord says anti-hero is what Cody Rhodes is. Definitely an argument that you could make there. Also, Matt Williams with a great comment I want to quickly acknowledge before we move on, that Mascara Dorada and Bandido had the best match of the day, and he'll say it, and I'll say it too, and I loved Saturday night's main event, but their match on AEW Collision last night was an absolute blast. If you haven't had a chance to check that out yet, make sure you do. Up next, let's talk about Jade Cargill, because she is the new WWE Women's Champion. I have been a Jade Cargill defender, a Jade Cargill fan for years now, and finally, she's gotten the prize that she deserves. She looks the part. She has that aura, if you want to call it, the star power, if you want to call it that. And she's improved in the ring and on the mic so much over the last couple of years. And for her now to be a heel once again in this position, it is perfect. And my only complaint about this match against Tiffany Stratton last night was that Jade didn't win even more dominantly. It was 5 minutes. It was practically a squash. To be honest, I would have done it in 5 minutes, but made it even more of a squash. Have Jade Cargill be completely dominant. Have this be like Lesnar and Cena at SummerSlam 2013. I would have had it like that, Clark, because honestly, I was blown away by this Jade character. I really was.
I love that we've now got Jade doing what she does best. And that's just be absolutely dominant, intimidating, borderline scary, right? To anybody in that division. The fact that the match ended quickly is almost like that you said aura earlier, but Mike Tyson like, where it's like it's not if, it's more like when. When is the match going to end dominantly with Jade winning it, or how? But it's basically a formality. The run of defenses that she can have with this character, that B word, if you'd like to call it, from AEW, essentially, right? The run of dominant defenses she can have through the women's division on SmackDown, I think, is excellent. And they need to have her be an active champion, defending the title and dominantly winning over and over and over again, in my eyes, to really, really solidify just how I've said dominant quite a bit, but just how dominant she is in relation to the rest of the division before finally somebody's built up to pull off the ultimate upset.
And Matt Williams is saying, why couldn't they book Jade like this from the jump? I will say this. I think, to be honest, I'm going to defend them on this one. I think she had to be introduced the way she was as a babyface. To firstly just show off how big of a star she is. But secondly, because you can't give her the title right away.
It would have been a little bit quick had you. I don't know. Here's my other thing, though. Now with the mid-card titles, and I know the timing doesn't exactly line up because we didn't have both mid-card titles necessarily, I believe, when she debuted. I think that was shortly thereafter, if I'm not mistaken, right?
No, you're right. Yeah.
Just short, later, like, yeah, about a year later. If you had those two, you could have a scenario where maybe you do throw her right into being a dominant U.S. or Intercontinental champion out of the gates. I think, to your point, Ben, jumping directly to the main title would have been a little bit rushed as far as introducing her to the main roster. Obviously, skipping NXT, that rules out the NXT women's title. That maybe what could have been a more immediate thing, a la what we've seen lately with Ricky Starks or Saints and whatnot, right? That may have made sense, but directly I
think she was too big of a star for NXT. I think debuting her on the main roster made her feel bigger.
I'm in agreement on that. We're totally. I'm almost trying to disagree with you here, but like I'm on the exact same page. I
think they had to do what they did to get to here, and they've done it this way. Yeah. And I do think originally Jade was going to turn on Bianca, but Bianca, I think, has had the longest finger injury in the history of finger injuries.
I am curious about, like, is it an issue of, because with a finger like that, is it an issue of like grip strength is compromised, so that for working it can be unsafe? Maybe it's like healed, but it's not all the way there strength wise. Is that, because I can't understand why.
No clue.
Right. The only thing I can think of is like the grip would be faulty, so that could be dangerous for like high impact type moves. If her grip strength is compromised, that's the only thing I can think of.
7-month finger injury, I think, is ridiculous. Everybody said it was going to be like 2 months max. and it's
Did
been
she break-
7.
Did she break like her hammock bone too, or something like that? Because that could put you out.
No, it
for
was
7
just her
months.
finger, I believe.
Yeah,
just
like,
her finger.
It was like just her middle
Just the
finger.
Yeah, that's brutal. I wonder if torn ligament or
Crazy.
something. I'm not sure.
I have no idea, but what I also do want to ask you guys about is Tiffany Stratton's reign itself now, because obviously 302 days, 17 defenses. I think about 10 of them, or not even 8 of them, I believe, were on dark, dark shows dark matches on live events and stuff like that. But even still, it kind of felt like to me, Mary, like this reign just wasn't what I expected it would be for Tiffany Stratton.
And I 100,000, 2,000% agree. I wouldn't say the entire run was a flop itself. It could have been so much better from how hot she was in the very, very midst beginning of her gimmick, her Barbie gimmick, her popular girl attitude that we all just ate up in NXT, to where she finally won the big one. She even went to as far as to wrestle the Queen at WrestleMania, to a match that everyone kind of forgot about, and that's just what makes it really, really sad for Tiffany, is that she had such almost a year-long reign, and with contenders and matches that we just kind of don't care for. That's just kind of disappointing, to say the least. And I just hope for now, when she rehabs her knee, gets better, promo wise, in-ring wise, I feel like she just needs to kind of whole rework to where maybe she can come back as her old self. If Jade
I hope
can do
so.
it, if Jade can do it, Tiffany can too.
And I do think that's where we're heading. But the other thing I do want to quickly say, because I want to give some appreciation actually to Tiffany Stratton, because outside of that Charlotte feud where she did not perform well, she clearly overstepped with certain things, and so did Charlotte. It was a complete mess. But outside of that, I think Tiffany Stratton, in the position she has been put in with the creative she has been given, I think she has done a tremendous job. It's just she's been given the same thing over and over and over again, so there is only so much that she can actually do. So I don't think this is the reflection on Tiffy. Some people are saying this shows that Tiffy isn't the main event star, and I could not disagree more. I just think this shows the creative for Rick Clark has been absolutely abysmal.
I agree, and I think I do not point the finger at Tiffany Stratton. I think the hardest thing, though, and I can't really figure out exactly why. I've sort of gone back and forth in my head about it, but they have had a hard time developing a good rival for Tiffy that makes sense logically. Like Tiffany Stratton, in hindsight, when we look at the Charlotte Flair rivalry, which obviously was the low point, I would say, of the reign, right? I think we can all agree on that. Exactly.
Low point of the year, to be honest.
Arguably, right? But in that moment, Tiffany Stratton was never going to bully Charlotte. That wasn't going to work, and that's where Tiffany on the microphone is at her finest, is being a bit of a bully and being cutting. But she's so much younger, and standing opposite Charlotte, she's at that time, and even still, less accomplished. So going back and forth with Charlotte, that it's a little oil and water right now. It's difficult to do unless the crowd's so behind Tiffany Stratton as a babyface that you get Charlotte as the ultimate heel. That's possible. At least Jade here got the crowd sort of behind Tiffy going into this match, but it wasn't all the way. I'm wondering if for the next rivalry, somebody, I don't want to say closer to her age, but I would love to see for Tiffany's return somebody like a Lyra Valkyria, where they are
yeah, I'd like that
for a rivalry, right? Back and forth on the mic, and she can sort of pick on Lyra in a way.
Yeah.
If we're gonna return Tiffy to that old sort of Barbie bully type character, I think Lyra and her on the microphone, because that's also, and not to keep harking on the age thing, because now I'm making Ben think that he convinced me, but that can be a rivalry that you can sort of run over and over again over the years if the chemistry's there, because they both have a lot of career left ahead of them in the WWE.
And also, like, prior to the match, I believe on SmackDown, when we had Julia and Kiana James kind of teasing her, telling her, like,
that's what's going to be next, I think.
I don't think you're ready, champ. You're not as the tough queen bee as you say that you are. They were just kind of like intimidating Tiffy a little bit, kind of like being the bully that Tiffany even knows herself that she is.
Yeah.
And
Mm.
she's not going to let people push her around. So I feel like when she comes back, she can be easily right up there with Julia to give like a really neat, just back and forth feud between the two.
That's
Totally.
the thing, though, I will say. I honestly am getting the feeling that at Survivor Series, Tiffany Stratton might win the United States Championship. I have a really bad feeling they've set this up. So they were like, okay, we don't want Tiffany Stratton to look weak, but we also want Jade to look dominant. So we're going to have Jade beat her very quickly and dominantly, but we're going to start planting the seeds for a United States title feud for Tiffy immediately following losing the title, so that way she can get back in, win that title, and continue looking strong. Now, unless she's going to turn heel very, very quickly, I think it's a bad move, but it has to be what they're planning because, like your point, Mary, they are teasing that feud, and I think it's going to start like this week.
I agree as well. I think it's going to start a lot quicker than we think, but I just don't know if Tiffany would just kind of continue as the character that she's at right now, or
I
would
hope
she
not,
kind
but I
of?
think so.
That's why I really hope not either.
What's up with the U.S. title being consistently put on Canadians? Can someone explain that to me?
Why is it not on
Green
pay-per-view?
and Tiffany Stratton, and then you had Sammy on the men's side recently. North American title, basically the U.S. title. You had Holly Go carrying it. It's so many Canadians other than Julie.
Yeah, I have no idea why you thought she was Canadian, Clark. She's not
Tiffany's
Canadian.
Canadian. She's
No,
from
she's
Toronto.
not.
I thought
I've
she
just
was.
fact checked myself. No.
Why did she wear the Maple Leafs jersey with Trish in Toronto then? I
Because
thought
she
they were
does
both-
it in every country she goes to. She wears their flag.
I
She
didn't
was more
know that.
tributing.
That's her
rather than-
gimmick.
Ah.
That in France, the
I didn't know that.
UK, Italy, everywhere.
I just thought it was interesting that she matched Trish with the jersey, so I assumed like, oh, they must, because I know Trish.
No,
is like
she's
a
from
diehard Leafs fan.
Minnesota.
That was 100.
Oh, that's basically so. She probably is a Toronto Maple Leafs fan because that's it doesn't get much more north than Minnesota in the states. Minnesota's practically
Minneapolis, Canada. Yeah, one and the same.
Canada. Pretty much the same. That's where Brock lives.
That's
just
worse than when I say, Clark, you're from LA. LA is nearer to Minneapolis than Canada is.
Not by much. I mean, Brock lives right over on the Canadian side,
Well, yeah, he does live in Canada.
but he's from
mean,
Minnesota.
Yeah,
He moved
it's-
north of the border because there's more land.
yeah, it's more private, so he
But
can
he
live
still
and
lives really
nobody.
close.
But
Matt Williams, I love that.
Matt Williams +1 to Ben. Tough luck, Clark.
Yeah, we'll swing and a miss there. Good call.
Louis Morales is agreeing as well that she couldn't bully Nia Jax, and that was another feud which
That's a
just went
great
on and
point.
on and on and on and on. DCX pointing out that Bianca is still the longest reigning women's champion in the modern era, and rightfully so as well. But up next, we need to talk about somebody who is having a really long reign with the Intercontinental Champion, and somebody who finds a way to find new ways to cheat, match after match after match. And last night, he retained the IC title once again against Penta and Rusev. And this, of course, is Dirty Dominic Mysterio. This guy... Look, I understand some people have issues with his title reign. I understand it's not been the most entertaining. But he is so entertaining when it actually comes to his matches. He is so good at being a heel. Honestly, the last time somebody cheated and made it look this much fun was Eddie Guerrero. It is absolutely crazy to me how he finds new ways to do it time after time after time. And last night, to try the chair DQ spot, only to remember chairs are legal in triple threat matches, it made me laugh out loud. It was brilliant, Mary. But Dirty Dom is still the IC champion.
Man, dirty Dom. He gets more and more creative the more I watch him. That's all I will say for the most part. And he is a fantastic heel. I will say, from when he first joined the Judgment Day to him being the heel that he is now, wow. Give him the flowers, give him the titles, give him more titles. I mean, at this point, give him all the belts, because he's probably the most entertaining thing right now, to say the least, rather than be just a heel. He's just the most entertaining thing in WWE currently, in my opinion. But
honestly, you are, I think, bang on that.
As far as for the match itself, I will say the creativity, the Rusev Machka, and then the fake bell. He had me sucked in. I was like, oh my gosh, we got a new champ. And then I saw Penta not tapping, and I went, wait a minute. And then I just see Dom over there with the little hammer. Just
it was gold. It really is. He is so good at it. He's not really getting the praise that he deserves for the
Honestly.
amount he's improved.
And even since he's not with Rhea anymore, let alone having any kind of like partner, he's just him. And I feel
Yeah.
like he's actually taken the ball and running with it really, really, really well. And I just hope this doesn't kind of make the rest of his reign stale. You know, I know a lot of people are saying and theorizing that he's gonna be the next feud with Cena. You know,
I hope so.
I
I
hope so
really,
too.
really hope
I
so.
hope
And in the
so too.
comments here, DCX Warlord says Dom is dropping it to Cena, and that needs to happen because
It
look,
does.
Numero One commented in our comments months and months ago that Dom would win the title at Survivor Series.
I
Sorry,
said it-
that Cena would. Numero One said it first, Clark. He
That's not
honestly said
true.
it first. It is. It was like, it was right at the. It was as soon as Dom won the title. As soon as Dom won the title, it was way before you said it.
Not true.
Numero One commented on an Allison analysis video actually. And he said that what should happen is Dom holds the title until Survivor Series, drops it to John Cena, and then John Cena loses the title to Sheamus. I don't think that's going to happen now, and I don't think that second part should happen, but Cena needs to win the title. He does.
I mean, it's word for word what I said in January, basically when we started all
You
of this.
didn't.
I
Because
did.
Dom
I said
wasn't
it way
champion
back.
then.
I said it way back. No, that Cena would win the IC title from Dom at Survivor Series was the very
You didn't,
first
'cause
person that said
Dom
it was me.
wasn't the. Dom was not
I
the
guess it was
IC
January, but I said
champion
it
then.
way back. I said it as soon as Dom won the
Numero
IC
One
title.
called it honestly, like as soon as it
Because
happened.
I said because it was in San Diego, and Numero One was on the show and commented that he agreed when I said
I
it.
don't know.
on Daily.
Numero One, let us know. I think Numero One said I've got his back on this one.
100% I said it first.
No, I'm certain that he
And
did in
that's
the
no
comments
knock
of
on
Allison
Numero One.
analysis.
We're in agreement.
Yeah. Well, anyway, I agree with both of you that should happen. I don't think it's going to happen, but Cena needs to win that IC title. It's the one thing he hasn't won, and also it'll make his last. I don't want to say it'll make his last match more important because he doesn't need a title, but it'll just add some more stakes to it, and I do think it'll help the IC title too. Plus, I don't know who else Dom would drop it to, and I would like to just see Dom get that match as well. But up next, guys, we have to talk about the main event. CM Punk, Jey Uso, half an hour and a new World Heavyweight Champion because Punk has won it back. He, of course, won it a few months ago and was cashed in on, but this time he has it properly. But this match has caused a lot of controversy online. I'm going to be honest, personally, I did enjoy it. There was a few rough moments, but I thought it was really fun. And ultimately, that's what wrestling is meant to be. Punk won it in the end, not Jey. I'm happy. I think everybody's happy. The one question I do have is if this was the plan, why didn't they do CM Punk versus LA Knight instead of CM Punk versus Jey Uso at this very show? Because surely, I mean, that was the storyline they were doing. They've been telling that story on Raw for the last few weeks. Seth then got injured, and for some reason they pivoted to Punk versus Jey Uso. And I can't get my head around why, unless they thought maybe that the fans would just all root for LA Knight instead of Punk. Clark, I want to get your thoughts out the gates.
I think that might have been the fear, but you even have a bit of that problem with Jey Uso. I was so confused on how we got here other than something had to happen due to injury. But I mean, one day you've got Seth Rollins is the world champion. He's got to relinquish it because of injury, but you've got Braun Breaker carrying it around. There's no Braun Breaker involvement in this. There wasn't even really any storyline advancement, whether it be the Punk and LA Knight stuff, Jey Uso and what's going to happen with him in the future. It sort of was just like we took the two highest rated 2K guys that are on Monday Night Raw, and we're like, you guys wrestle for the world title at the end of the show. And it was, to your point, I'm in agreement. I thought it was a really fun match, and it's cool to see Punk wrestle for 30 minutes like that. And it you know, CM Punk calls himself the best in the world and whatnot. And yes, he's been back for 4 years total, and he's won 2 world championships, one in AEW and one in WWE now. It's a pretty big accomplishment. I just don't. first off, Seth Rollins is still breathing. I get that he's injured and he's out for 9 months, but he said, as long as I'm breathing, you can't be world champion. Well, guess what? He's still breathing. I would have loved to see some sort of Seth Rollins involvement, even just to set that up for when he returns. Even if it was as simple as Becky Lynch trying to, Seth's still breathing, you can't win, and Punk overcomes that. Anything as far as storyline advancement, and not just let's put on a 30-minute classic Jey Uso and CM Punk and then we'll see what happens after. Because unless Jey Uso is going to turn heel tomorrow, then I don't really know what the direction is coming out of this. Who's next for Punk? Is it LA Knight? Because they didn't pull the trigger on that in the first place. Is it Braun Breaker? Please no, not right away. It should have been Braun Breaker first if that was going to be the case. And, I'll put my hand up and say, I thought Braun Breaker was too soon at first. I've actually swayed and changed my mind based on the way things went down last night. I think that I'll hand up. I'll absolutely say I was wrong there.
What else will you say? What else will you say?
You're allowed to change your mind. And
what else will you say?
I'm sorry, Ben. I changed my mind.
That's not what I was right. Ben was right. Ben is always right.
But I think
dreadful booking. Braun Breaker should be champion.
And yes, and here's the problem with that now, though, is now you're stuck. Because if you go now to Breaker Punk, it doesn't make, you should have done Breaker Punk in the first place. It's just like, I don't know exactly where you go. Where do you go with Breaker? Because what rivalry is he in with Seth on the show?
A War Games match where they need 3 new members in like 2 weeks. I don't know how they're going to do this.
I don't understand it. It's like, it is unbelievable. And it's honestly, it's a credit to Seth Rollins, the domino effect of what do we do now? Simply with a major injury, right? You got to give Seth some credit. It was like, wow, I didn't really realize how valuable he was until they took him away, right? Like,
yeah. You are right.
Think about it, like, shoot.
I mean, he shouldn't have done anything last night because he's going to come back as a babyface. So they don't need to touch this story. But, I mean, look, I don't think Punk needs the title right now. I don't think this match really needed to happen. But, once we got to the point, I thought it delivered. I thought it was fun. And I do think if it's between Punk or Jey Uso, Punk is the right choice. But Matt Williams pointing out that Clark is really having a rough day today.
No.
But Mary, what were your thoughts on this main event?
I agree. I think this was just once again like an instant classic, but was it really needed? No, not really. It's like I'm with Clark on this one. Ben, you were right. Ben, you were right. We should have had Braun Breaker in the very first place. But we got what we got, and I'm just very, very, very curious more than anything now to what's going to happen tomorrow, let alone next week or months down the road, Survivor Series, War Games. I'm curious about what happens tomorrow. And I think that's kind of the point of why this was kind of orchestrated the way that it is, just to kind of keep things relatively interesting, even though, like we just said, our top guy is out for 6 months. Yay. But again, I'm just beyond curious as to who's next. Is it LA Knight? Is it Bronson Reed? Or is it just the obvious answer of Braun Breaker? Who knows?
We will have to wait and see. And I do think it is going to be that obvious answer. I think it is going to be Braun Breaker.
Well, and I have a silly question because I may make my day even worse here by asking a dumb question, but they never even showed there was no Braun Breaker handing it. Who got the title? Who went and retrieved the belt from Braun Breaker?
You're having a really rough day.
He was carrying around because I missed that segment. Was that? I mean, that was on Raw.
It was a huge segment.
It was a huge
basically
segment on Raw.
Adam Pearce.
It was Pearce that got it. Okay, I'm just
They went down to the ring. They opened up Raw. They announced the title was now vacant. Adam Pearce said to Braun Breaker, "Hand the title over." Braun said, "Only if you say please," and it was a big ordeal. Then Adam Pearce kicked Braun Breaker out of the match for making him say please. I mean, which I still can't really get my head around, to be fair. So, look, you're forgiven for forgetting that because you probably wanted out of your mind. It was so dumb.
Hand up. I saw the clip in hindsight too. That was also on a Raw where I was off on Tuesday, so I didn't watch that one live. So I will, but I've only seen the clip. I didn't watch the whole Raw. That was 2 or 3 weeks ago now, right? Oh, brutal.
Absolutely. But you are right at the end of the day. I mean, it's an interesting one, that is for sure. But I do think you are right, Mary, that it is going to be the obvious choice they go to. Now, it has to be Bron Breakker because that is, I mean, it's really the only option to feud with on Raw unless they do Punk versus Knight. But again, then why wouldn't they do Punk Knight now? It doesn't make sense. So I do think it's going to be a War Games match, the Vision against Team Punk, then going to the Royal Rumble. It's going to be Punk versus Breakker. I would have rathered, and this is maybe a hot take, but I would have rathered Bron Breakker win the title now and lose it to Punk at the Rumble for Punk then to be the bigger name to carry it into WrestleMania, if that was the concern, because that's the only explanation that I can justify, is maybe they felt like Bron Breakker isn't ready to hold the title in Mania season, which, okay, fair enough, but you could have dropped it. I don't think it would have hurted him, Clark.
Yeah, Breakker should have been in this match, period. Even if you were going to have Punk pin Jey Uso, it should have at least maybe been a triple threat. I just don't.
Yeah.
Back to how dumb just handing the title over and then like now you can't wrestle for it. Like he walked around like he was the champion for enough
It looked
time
good.
that it felt
It looked amazing.
It looked good.
Yeah, like that's the frustrating part to me, and I think that's also why I erased it from my memory. I'm just like, how did we get to this point? It feels like it happened so fast. Like at Raw on Monday, and Mary and I were both there, right? The Jey Uso and Punk promo back and forth. It was like, it feels like we're missing cast members from right. It was like watching your favorite sitcom and you're like, where's the rest of the characters?
Where's
Right?
the
Like,
rest of the crew?
I enjoyed that promo for what it was, to be honest.
The promo was fine for what it was. It felt like the entire time I'm sitting there, and I obviously we were in different sections, Mary, but I was talking to Corey, who was with me, and we were just like, something's got to happen here, right? Something's gonna happen. Something's gonna happen, and it was like, no, that's just they're hyping it up. It was a good promo back and forth, but I think because the expectation was like, there's got to be some sort of shenanigan, something, right? Like whatever it may be, even if it would have been like Bron Breakker or something getting involved in that, and I just to me, it felt, again, I said it before, like you took the two highest rated men's wrestlers on 2K that are on the Raw roster currently, and we're like, definitely wrestle for the title, and then we'll figure it out after that, because we didn't have a plan after Seth got hurt.
I do want to quickly end the show by talking about something. Hello?
Yeah, the audio.
Hello?
You're back, brother. You're back.
It scared me to death.
You're back. You're
It's
back.
gone again. No. Shoot. I wish I knew what you wanted to talk about. If you type it, I can introduce the segment. Send it in the chat.
1, 2, 3. There we are. I'm back.
He's back.
I'm back. I have actually no idea what happened there. But before we end the show, I do want to quickly go off topic for a second, right? Because when they brought back Saturday night's main event last year, I thought it was a complete failure. And the biggest reason for that was that pay-per-views, big matches, are not supposed to have ad breaks. And it felt like, at first, that one, they were trying to cram too many matches into 2 hours. But secondly, that all of them felt like TV matches. And to be honest, when a Saturday night's main event match would get announced, especially if it was a good match on paper, I would be devastated about it, because I'd be like, I wish this was on a pay-per-view so it would get the time and appreciation that it deserves. But last night, I think they finally fixed Saturday night's main event, and it's all because it's moved back to Peacock. Getting rid of the ad breaks makes all the difference. The fact now, as well as doing 4 matches too, it finally feels like what they always wanted Saturday night's main event to be. Sure, it's not on NBC, but if you're going to have a big show in wrestling, I'm sorry, but there can't be ads during matches. I mean, it's like having an ad during a UFC fight. Yeah. That does not happen. I mean, maybe between rounds or whatever, but even still, it should not happen for big matches, Clark.
Could you imagine in the UFC, like somebody just gets knocked out while it's on a commercial break? That's all I can think of.
Well, no, they'd have to
come back.
You
come back and the guy's just like on the floor. You're like, what?
He's already out. Like, wait, what?
Yeah, no, but I do think
around.
Like when they brought Saturday night's main event back and it was on NBC at first, it felt a little bit almost like a Raw Plus, right? Like just like a better Raw on Saturday, or sort of like that.
It was a
Last night-
worse Raw.
Yeah, or a worse Raw in some spots. But last night at least felt something more like I would call it like a network special, not quite a PLE, but like just an elevated event in a way because of the lack of commercials. It felt, I feel like, more important for some reason.
Yeah,
I
easily.
don't know why.
No, it did.
Those are like,
it felt more important.
It felt
Even though it was on a less important network.
Exactly.
It still felt bigger.
It's odd. Yeah, it felt closer to like a old pay-per-view or a PLE than it did like, you know. Well, and I think things are different now too with Raw being on Netflix and not on cable. You know, the commercials on Netflix are a little bit different than your traditional cable commercials, right? And we're not as set to a 3-hour time frame as we were before. SmackDown is still obviously on network. I think in the future, whether it's Peacock or any of the streaming services for Saturday Night's Main Event, that's got to be the route you go. Even
it has to be.
I just don't see a scenario where NBC wants to take the risk of trying it again.
Too many people stopped watching it because people did not enjoy the first few, so they stopped watching it, and they had to get it right before John Cena's final match, because that's a Saturday Night's Main Event, and finally it is.
You know, Goldberg loved Saturday Night's Main Event, and
he's a big fan of it.
He absolutely adored it at the end there.
Brilliant ending.
To your point, they had to get this right before. I thought it was a very interesting choice that Cena's final match is at Saturday Night's Main Event when they initially announced that. And I thought it was even more interesting that they chose DC, but at the same time, I to your point, they had to get it right, and this was helpful. It almost makes me wonder if, I guess it was on the schedule for longer than that, but if they went into this one like, this is almost the dress rehearsal for the Cena thing. We gotta change some stuff up, try some things so that we have it right by the time we get to the big one, Cena's final match.
Yeah, no, that is true. And yeah, I mean, Lewis is pointing out that there was the 3-minute ads in it.
Yeah.
I mean, look, as long as it's in between matches, I don't care. It can be 5 minutes, as long as it's not during the matches. That's what ruins a wrestling show. I can go and make a coffee or grab a beer during an ad break. I can't do that if it's the middle of the match. That ruins the match.
It does. It takes you out of the match too.
And to where I feel, not to sound like one of those, but where AEW hits it out of the park is have your commercial, but your match is still going on, to where you're not getting the full-on commentary, the full-on commentary experience, but you could still at least see like, oh wait, no one won yet. That's good at least. When they have the 3-4 minute ads, and then to come back to like one of the guys already like flattened out on the floor, you're like, wait, what did I miss? I just, like Ben said, I just went to go make a coffee real quick. Like, what happened?
Yeah, but the thing is with picture-in-picture, I hate it, and I'm glad that NXT got rid of it for the most part, because at the end of the day, you're distracted on the ads, and still nothing really important is going on, and for some reason it actually takes me out of the match a bit more.
Orange Cassidy won during commercial break, though, remember? Orange Cassidy won on picture-in-picture. It was hilarious, just to keep us on our toes. But also, the other problem is, if you look at, like, I mean, not so much on Raw now that it's on Netflix, but it's still on SmackDown. Roll out of the ring, barricade spot, we're going to break. We all know it. Like, we all know it. It's the most formulaic thing that happens in the WWE. It's automatic. It's like, oh, they both went outside the ring, around the ring post, barricade. Oh, here's a word from our sponsors. Like, right away.
It was ridiculous.
Without fail.
Ridiculous. But that does bring us, guys, to the end of the show. Thank you so much for watching. We will be back the same time, same place tomorrow to answer some of your hot takes following Saturday night's main event. Thank you to Mary, thank you to Clark, and thank you to everybody who's watched. See you guys tomorrow. Peace.